Welcome to Top to Bottom Male Romance Podcast, where we celebrate all things male romance. I am Jessica.
And I'm Markie.
And this is our May top episode.
Yeah. So just before we dive into all the fun goodness that we have, we wanted to remind everyone that we do have reader groups to discuss our bottom picks every month and just general romance goodness. We have a Facebook group that's linked to our main Top to Bottom podcast Facebook page, and then we also have a Goodreads reader group that is also linked on our Facebook page, but it'll also be linked in the show notes as well. We also have a Patreon started where our patrons get to get inside info about any authors that we have lined up for interviews when we get the information ahead of time. And they can also submit questions to ask the author. So if you guys want to join that group of amazing bananas, definitely make sure to check it out.
And we'll be adding perks as you go, so it's always good to jump in when you can and then hang on for the ride of awesome.
Indeed. This episode, we've got a couple of awesome things to talk about. We got a chance to interview Katze Snow, which is fun, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But before we get to that, we wanted to talk about our fresh bananas for the month of May, and we have two. The first one is Michelle Frost. Her debut male romance book comes out May 18th, and it's called Carry and Drag, Open Wounds number 1. It looks pretty cool. It's a contemporary romance. The blurb is pretty long, so I don't want to read the whole thing, but basically it looks kind of dark and gritty. Let me see. I'll read the very end of the blurb because it sounds interesting. So living together is an adjustment, and when the heat between the two characters morphs into something more, will old insecurities and new tests drag them apart, or will they find a way to carry the weight of their burdens together? So it looks kind of cool. The cover of it has a very handsome tattooed man with some chains on him, so it's definitely got a cool, gritty feel to it, and I'm looking forward to reading it.
So our other fresh banana is kind of something a little special, to me at least. We have Heartache and Hoofbeats coming out on May 28th from Mazmatic. Mazmatic is a brand new debuting author who happens to be sitting directly next to me.
Yeah, so this is going to be the first book I've ever published in my life. Pen name's going to be Mazmatic's, and I'm really excited about it. It's been something that I've been putting together for, God, I don't even know, like a year and a half? Longer than that? It's
been coming. It's been on the horizon for a little while, and something you've been working through pretty extensively for a while. So I'm going to read everybody the blurb, whether you like it or not. Like all centaur shifters, Sheriff Calhoun is the epitome of honor. He protects the small town of Stallion Ridge and its people from any threat, large or small. When word comes in that the notorious Iron Bandits are making a play for the train in his territory, he's both livid and invigorated. If anyone can bring these thieves to justice, it's him and his crew. What he did not expect was having a charming, whiskey-eyed outlaw dumped in his lap that challenged everything he thought he knew. So what I know about this book, without spoilers, is that it's really fun adventure with a really great cast of characters, and it is very sexy. So Markie wouldn't tell you any of that because she's all modest and blushing right next to me, and really didn't want me to talk about it, but I couldn't not because she is finally releasing, and I'm really excited about it, so suck it.
Well, I am excited, but it's I don't like talking about myself, and yes.
And that's why you have me.
Yes, that's why I have you. So
we're going to be doing some small promotional stuff. We're going to mention it again on our bottom episode just because it's right around release. And we're going to have a release party via the Facebook group. We won't bombard you with this because this isn't our own private promotional tool, but I'm too excited about it to let it go, and I think that if anybody's going to care about it, it would be our audience. So, if you're interested, hang on to us during May. If you're not, do it anyways, or, whatever. We're going to have other stuff going on with our podcast, like our bottom pick and our interviews and stuff like that, but we're going to be doing some fun stuff, so.
Yeah, May's going to be a fun month, not just because of Heartache and Hoofbeats coming out, which is awesome, but like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we got a chance to talk to Katze, and that's such a fun interview. We had a lot of fun talking to her, so yeah, May's good. May's fun.
Yeah. So
I guess diving into what I just mentioned with Katze Snow, our bottom pick for the month of May is going to be Sinister Hunger. It's a new release from Katze Snow that came out not too long ago. It's the first in the series. It's a cool, dark, post-apocalyptic vampire book, so we're pretty excited about that. And we also got a chance to talk with her about the book and hobbies and all kinds of fun stuff. So I guess without any further ado, here's Katze Snow. Okay, so joining us on our top episode is Katze Snow. She is an author of male romance that's on the dark side. And I'm just going to read her bio from her website because it's awesome. After leaving school and renting a crummy flat at 16, Katze Snow lives in Scotland with her wolf dog and kitty. When she's not writing or listening to music, she works for a top secret underground organization, but shh, it's a secret. She finally published her debut novel in 2016. Her writing is dark, gritty, and takes satire to a whole new level. Come and join her, but be warned, Katze likes her men dark, twisted, and all kinds of messed up, and she hopes you do too. So welcome, Katze.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So just to go ahead and jump right into the questions, what we kind of always start with is what got you into male romance?
When I was about 17, I discovered yaoi, which is the Japanese version of male
comics.
And when I discovered this, I don't think I left my flat for about a week. I just sort of read and read and read, and it was just so awesome. And I had been reading books, obviously, all through high school and childhood and things, but none resonated with me as deeply as these yaoi ones did. And yes, those were quite dark. There were very mafia ones that I loved. So yeah, when I discovered yaoi, I just thought, I wonder if there's any literature books. And it was when I was 19, I was at a sort of breaking point in my life and my depression got really bad, but I got this email. It was like hot new releases from Amazon. I don't know what actually made me check that email that day because, yeah, I was hitting a downer, a down point of my life. But anyway, I checked the email and it was a book by Zoe Perdita called Tigers Then. And I thought, well, I like tigers, I like shifters, let's see what this is all about. And it just blew me away. It was the first I had laughed in weeks. Yeah. And then once I discovered this is an actual genre, I delved in and I haven't ever looked back.
We had Kay American on the show a couple months back, and they talked about how that's how they got into male romance too, is the yaoi comics, and we're both big fans of that style of comic books and stuff too. So I could definitely see how that was your bridge into it, because I think a lot of people that's how it goes too.
Definitely seems like a gateway.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very good gateway.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think the first one that I read actually was Viewfinder with Asami, and I don't
love that one.
By I think it's Ayano Yamin. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but by that manga artist, and it was just like, oh my god, this is just so amazing. But the thing is, I had gone from reading Catherine Cookson novels, which is, I don't know if you're familiar, but she was a British author who wrote historical romances with no swearing, no sex, no nothing. Mm-hmm. And I collected these books I actually still collect them. But anyway, I'd gone from that to, what's this yaoi thing? So it was like, there was no in between. There was like, yeah, my obsession with Jane Eyre, and then had gone from Jane Eyre to You're My Love Prize and Viewfinder, and it was like, did he just put that up? Yeah, he did, and I quite dig this. And honestly, I remember just being like, I'm going to hell for reading this. And yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I was very open about it. I have 2 gay sisters, so when I told them, they were totally fine with it. And my other sister, when I told her, because she liked reading books, I said, you should read this. This was when I started reading books. I said, you should read this. And unfortunately, she was just totally against, doing that. And I felt like I think I was 18, 19. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe it's not a common genre for people to read, but I still promoted the hell out of that book. Mm-hmm. And I told everyone, read this book. And they were like, what's it about? And I told them, and I was like, it's in the LGBT genre, you need to read it. And I just feel totally unashamed, and I shouldn't feel ashamed about what I read. I hate shaming in any sense, but yeah, I totally owned it. Like, I have so many stories about that kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's always, you never know how someone's going to react to that. Even now in 2018, people are still really uncertain and hesitant, and their knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, no, I don't like that, or that's not my lifestyle. I'm like, well, you can be a totally straight individual and still adore the genre. So.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, my mum told all her friends at local bingo, so like a little gathering between old people, and she explained, okay, like the theme of Sinister Hunger, and it's quite dark, but I mean, these women are in their 80s. And you know what? They bought it.
Really?
And they're asking me to sign it. Yeah, like my sister, one of my gay sisters explained, she's like, just to obviously make you aware, it is LGBT, but that's not the issue. The issue is that it's quite graphic and dark and it's horror and things like that. And she was like, yeah, I understand. I'll go buy that. I'll buy it and she'll consign it for me. And you know, they did. I was just
That
like,
is so
that is
cool.
awesome. Like, they're 80 odds, you know, sitting with they really do. They sit with their knitting, and I love it, at the local bingo.
I
And
feel
they've
like
got my Sinister Hunger book, and I'm like, what a total contrast.
that is so fantastic. I hope that when we all hit like our 80s and 90s, we're going to be those old ladies sitting
Yeah.
knitting and reading just filthy smut, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and I can totally see us being like that. I think there's a movie coming out, and it's like the book club movie,
Mhm.
and it's people who are in their like sort of 50s over, and they discover that 50 Shades of Grey. But it's really funny because it's from, I know, but it's from their point of view. Like, these older women are like, I discovered this genre and discovered this book, and it's really funny because, yeah, you wouldn't imagine, you know, an 80-year-old woman sitting on the bus with a paperback of 50 Shades of Grey, but it happens.
Yeah.
At least it happens here.
That is amazing. So with our next question, what is your favorite genre within male romance?
I have to say it's any master slave ones are. So one of my favorite series was Flesh Cartel. I don't know if you guys have read that. Let's just say Flesh Cartel series is one of my favorite series in NM, and I like that genre. The ones that's really dark, taboo, gets your heart pounding. Yeah, I'd say that's my favorite genre, is the sort of psychological, dark side of MM.
You write what you like to read, so, you know, that fits.
Basically, yeah.
Our next question kind of segues into it. You prefer your men dark and as well as your stories. What's the draw? Why that genre in particular?
I think one of the biggest things I love about it is I can like jump into their head. So someone who's a psychopath or a sadist or whatever, I love jumping into their head, but I really hope to discover that there's more layers, that they're not just, I want to know what made them a psychopath and what makes them tick and why does it make them tick. So I think about books, you know, personally, they tend to have a dark main character. There's always one. And I like to add as many layers as I can. So what draws me to these books is I find them really fascinating. You know, I could be sitting like knitting and I'm watching how to kill people like 50 million ways. But you know, that's why I like this sort of just delving into something and being really fascinated by nitty gritty dark things that gets your heart pumping, or racing, should I say.
Your latest release, Sinister Hunger, that's going to be our bottom pick for the month. I just dove into it. I just got into like the first couple of chapters, and I went into it without knowing really anything about it, and just fell in love with the world building and was really fascinated by what you were doing with that. So for our listeners, can you tell us a little bit about the book and what they can expect?
Yeah, so Sinister Hunger is actually, it's set sometime in the future. It's post-apocalyptic, because 6 years before the book started, the economy just dropped and Mother Nature and climate change and things just decided, you know what? This is enough. And they just basically turned against mankind. And with obviously global warming, it's quite a real thing. So I wanted to incorporate that into this world, or create these characters who are lost in this world, who are trying to find their way or trying to fight through the rubble to survive. So Sinister Hunger is set in this world that's fallen apart. And you know, humanity is on the brink of despair. There's these 7 sanctuary cities. There's one base in each continent, and in charge of these cities is a firstborn vampire. And the one in North America is called the Sanctuary City of Hope. And Maddox Kane is the second oldest firstborn, which is the ancient vampires. He created this city because he really believed that hope was the one thing that would save his jurisdiction. There is this war building, which is quite evident at this, you know, the start of the book. Maddox needs a sort of a pawn to play in his game to win, or, you know, a knight or whatever. And the best one for that is a vampire hunter, which is Vincent Hudson. So you have the vampire and you have the hunter, who are both just thrust together into this really dark, confusing, crumbling world. They're struggling to accept each other. There's a lot of contradiction in how they feel towards each other. At the very end, it becomes quite evident that they're going to have to work together, and they're going to have to accept each other to survive in this world. And there's more to Maddox Kane, as Vincent realises, than what people think. I've just gone off on a tangent.
No,
Sorry,
that's
guys.
perfect. No, I'm like listening. I'm like, man, I really got to pick this book up. I can't wait for May.
Like, I'm just a really bad promoter. I'm just like, people ask me work, like, what do you write? And I'm like, I read books. Like, yeah, I totally buy them. And that's it. I just walk away, because I'm like, I don't know what to say. But the thing is, like, Bloodstream, I find it really complex. and it's probably the most complex world I've ever created. And I know the ins and outs. I know all the different sanctuary cities. I know who owns them. I know how the first ones were created. I know so much about it, but it's trying to condense it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it really does feel like the world itself is almost like a character itself, and that's just a sign of good world building, and that's what drove me in. Like, the situation was really neat, and I was fascinated by what was going on, but the world itself, like the way you set that up, that was what really is enticing me. Like, I have to see what the rest of this world looks like.
I'm super excited to write more stories based in the other sanctuary cities. I've already got plot ideas. I know, and I've already mapped so many books out. So I'm really excited about this series, and I hope that it can continue to do well, and I can continue to write more installments, but they're all different continents, they're different characters. But I think you're right, the world itself is a character. That's a really good way to describe it. Because Mother Nature is just, she's on like a sort of revenge quest against mankind. And then you have these just group of people who've survived. So I think 50% of the world, they're just all clinging to these huge cities where that's all they can survive in. Or they can survive in the wastelands, which is where people do try and survive, but that is just, in Sinister Hunger, they're constantly battling sandstorms to the point where it does cause abnormalities in people, blindness, and it's just I think it's a really hard world to live in, and it's darker than any world I've created, so I'm quite proud of it, and I hope that I can continue to write that series.
So for your inspiration, do you get your inspiration for your stories from outside sources, or do they manifest in a certain way? Like, how do you come up with your awesome ideas?
They came to me in a dream. That's so true. That is so true. I mean, the third book in Bloodstream definitely came to me in a dream. But the inspiration for the first two books of Bloodstream, so Sinister Hunger and To Be Confirmed for the next title, that actually was collaboration between myself and Christine Wright. So we were both quite dark, twisted people. And we were like, I want to really write a vampire story. And she was the same. And we were like, how dark can we make this? Like, how far can we push our readers? So we collaborated. We built the sort of foundation of Sinister Hunger. But after we parted ways and we're like, okay, let's just leave it right now. And Christine agreed it would probably be better timing for me to take this on myself as an individual project. It completely did change. The only thing that stayed is Maddox Kane being the governor and the other MC being a vampire hunter. So, and the sanctuary cities, but everything else just completely manifested itself. But I am a bit of a dreamer. I always get told that I've got my head in the clouds, and I have people telling my family, I saw Katze in the supermarket and she was just staring into space. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much me. I'm just like always, looking at clouds, and I am a complete dreamer. I always have been, and I think that is one of the biggest inspirations I get is from my actual dreams and just escaping, I guess, from life most of the time, as we do. But yeah, I'd say, that's definitely how they manifest, is from a dream. That's like a good tagline, eh? Manifested from a dream.
That makes me feel like I know the answer to this next question, but with your writing process, do you tend to outline out things? Do you just kind of write as you go? Are you a plotter or a pantser? Like, what's your process?
I used to just go with it. So I was a pantser to begin with. So for Demons and Wolves, I was like, okay, I have this character called Tanner, and I just wrote chapter 1, and I continued, and this plot expanded, and when you're editing it changes. But I was so stressed with book 2 of that series. My friend Zoe Perdita was like, do an outline. Like, there's actual templates online for authors and they can follow it. So I did, and it helped so much. And when I was like, I've got writer's block, I don't know what to do, I would just bring out a notepad at my desk at work where I should be working on my day job, and I would just be like, okay, I'd write a name down, and then I'd write some things about him, and I would just plot, like, just drop him into the situation, and before I know it, there's about 10 pages that I've been writing. It's insane. So the outlines really help. So with Sinister Hunger, I had a really strict outline. I knew what happened in chapter 1, I knew what happened in 2. I would add things as I was looking over the outline, but definitely I'm a plotter. I'm always plotting evil plans. But yeah, it makes life so much easier. When I was writing when I was younger, I started writing religiously when I was about 14 on Wattpad, and I would just wing it, and it was fun. But I think for me personally, I can add so much more meat to the story if I plot, because then ideas come to me as I'm writing things down, and you get so excited and you start mapping out, and yeah, it's pretty messy, my notepads, but definitely a plotter.
Are there any other genres that you would like to break into?
I would love to break into thriller, so like psychological thriller, which is more obviously mainstream. I do have a story for that, and I do plan on writing it. I've already, visited morgues, and I've got a police officer friend who I've interviewed and things because I'm so excited about that book. But at the minute, it's on the back burner while I do Sinister Hunger, and I'm conflicted. But I would really like to break into thriller. I think it's the only genre that keeps me interested. I've got a goldfish memory. No, I've got a squirrel memory. I don't know if you've seen Pixar Up when the dogs are just like, squirrel. That is honest to God me. I could be in the middle of talking and I just jump from different things. And my friends are used to it. They say it's interesting and endearing. I find it confusing myself because then I stop and I'm like, what was I talking about? Like, I'm like, sorry guys. Or like I'll be walking and I'll be talking about, oh my God, a puppy. And I'll just start talking again. And my friend's just like, oh yeah, there is a dog. You see, I've even got myself confused. But that I remember. But thriller is the only genre that really has kept me hooked. I read a book called The Good Samaritan on Christmas Day, and I have never been so antisocial on Christmas Day at Christmas dinner because I was eating my dinner and my Kindle was on my lap, and I kept saying to everyone, I'm so sorry everyone, but I'm so close to the big confrontation with the killer, and I was just like, no. At one point, everyone was so loud, I went into the bathroom for 20 minutes to read the book. It was so bad. But anyway, I think I realised then that genre that I'd want to break into is thriller. And believe it or not, I had a dream about this story, and I remember waking up and I was sweating and my heart was pounding, and the first thing I said is, I did not see that happening. In my dream, I remember just, it was so real, and the ending was just so unexpected and amazing. And it really blew my head away, even though it was my dream. And I was like, no, I want to make that into a mainstream thriller and see what happens. So that is definitely my future ideas. And I have broken into cozy mystery, but that's in a different pen name. And those are really cute and fun, and I really do enjoy them because they're so easy to write. Yeah, and they make me giggle. I'm just, yeah. Cozy is very cute and I enjoy it. But I think in the long term, I love MM. That's a genre I do want to stay in. But as you know, it's oversaturated. Mm-hmm. So it's quite hard to sort of get a little break in it. And if I can get a break in it, then I'm here to stay forever. But thriller is my sort of, okay, let's just slowly make that book happen and see what happens. I think I might even go traditional with that book just to see if it is better than what I'm doing now with the indie. So it's a comparison. It's all a trial and error. Mm-hmm. But yeah, long story short, thriller.
So do you have any particular favorite authors or series that you like to read, MM romance or otherwise?
My favorite author, oh God, I think I've spoken about her 3 times already, but it's Zoe Perdita. But because I think her book, Tiger's Den, actually saved me from a really low point to, where I was almost gone. That kind of low point in my life. So for me, it not only introduced me to MM, but I always say that saved my life. And I reached out to that author and I just sent a sort of fan mail, and I'd never in my life done that. But I sent her this Facebook message just really thanking her. Like, she had no idea what that book had done to save my life. And she just straight off the bat, so friendly, we clicked. Like, that's, when you just meet someone and you just click straight away. That's what it was like with me and her. We sort of became pen pals before I started publishing, and she introduced me to publishing, and she really encouraged me, and I finally did it, and she helped me through almost every step of the way. I do say that's my favourite author, not just because of all that, but because I love her books, and I think she's a really amazing author in that she can have me laughing and on the edge of my seat in the same sentence. I love her style. So I'd say she's my favourite author. My favourite series, the whole squirrel mentality, I'm really bad at finishing series. And you know what it's like when you've got a to be read list and it's like, oh, books, like it's like a magpie. That's what I'm like with series, especially if they're really long. With Flesh Carl, I say that's my favourite series ever. I never even finished it. But I got 9 books in. I got 9 books into that. And for me, that's like a medal. Like, for me, that's just like, oh my God, I've actually got through a lot of these books. And yeah, it's really hard for me to finish series, which I don't know why. I finished obviously the classics, but on my Kindle, it's hard for some reason. But my favourite...
I'm the same way when it comes with like finishing series, because I'll download like a ton of them, but then I also have 1,000 other things I want to read. So every time I open up my Kindle to continue that series, I'm like, oh yeah, this one. Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah, it's just like shiny. Like, oh, this is shiny. I'll have this. Oh, this is shinier. And it's just, it just stacks up. And I think at some point you get a little overwhelmed.
Yes.
You're sort of like, where do I start? And, there's so many offers that I'm like, oh my God, I need to read this book. And I start reading it, and then a new release comes out and I'll buy it and I'll start reading it, and it's just, it's overwhelming, but it's exciting at the same time. But my favourite series, I have a favourite book, which obviously was Tiger's Den, but one of my I have two favourite books. I can't pick between them. I can't pick between that book, and there's a book called Strain by Amelia C. Gormley, and that was the second book I read, and that's set in a post-apocalyptic world where there's been like this big deadly virus, and there's these revenants. They're like zombies, and when I read that, I did not move. Like, that was in one sitting, and it's quite a long book as well, and when I finished, it's like book hangover. You're like, what do I do now? And I remember looking at my window and being like, no, I just picked a book back up and flicked to page 1 and started reading again. And I read it 3 times in a row. And for me, that's just, like I said, I'm very hyperactive. I struggle to just sit in one place and things like that. I read it 3 times, I think in 2 days or something like that. And for me, I was just like, oh my God, that's so amazing. And I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, that's one of my favourite books, and that actually inspired the world of Sinister Hunger. So that's sort of like, the world's ending, and there's all this like despair, but there's also this like compassion and love hidden underneath the rubble. And yeah, so Strain by Amelia Gormley. I recommend it actually every so often on my Facebook and in groups, because I just love it, and I think it needs people just read it so I can like fangirl about it. But yeah, I do love that book.
Yeah, I actually read that one, I think, goodness, a year ago in October. It was a BookBub deal that was 99 cents, and I picked it up, and I think I same way, I ate it in like an afternoon. It was really good. I really liked it.
I just remember reading it thinking, I wish I could write like this, because like it was like every sentence I was literally poring over it, and just the prose itself, how she described like a broken abandoned building, I felt like only she at that time could make that beautiful. Like, and I really wanted to be like that kind of writer. Like I said, I was like, I wish I could write like that, and I think I used that as my inspiration to, that's the kind of the voice that I want and the style, and I think it did definitely inspire Sinister Hunger in that sense.
I can definitely see where you pull on that, because you're right. She does paint a very hauntingly beautiful destroyed world. So I agree. She's very talented.
Yeah. So she's definitely one of the authors who inspire me, as well as Zoe Pratita.
So when you're not writing epic stories, what are some of your other hobbies?
I am a loser. I think what I do is honestly, no one believes me until they live with me. I can be really sociable. I think it's an ambivert, where you're introverted but you're extroverted. So it's like I can be really extroverted and do loads of things like socially. I can hang out with my friends. Today I went shopping, I had a spa treatment with my sister, and we just had, the weekend away, and it was lovely. But right now I'm like, okay, so tonight I'm going to be watching Toy Story, eating an Easter egg in my bed. Honestly, I'm going to sound completely boring, but when I'm not socialising with my friends or spending time with my family, I'm either going on hikes with my dog, or I watch Disney's or I write. And the funny thing is when I was writing, I think it was the early stages of Sinister Hunger. Oh no, actually, excuse me, it was Dark Silence, so it would have been last year. Do you know the whole way for writing that, I just kept watching Monsters Inc. And I don't know if you've seen that movie, and people's like, where did you get your inspiration from? I'm like, watching Monsters Inc. Like, well, definitely not the movies. Like, I'm just so like contradicting in that sense. But I think I love watching movies actually, but I go through really bad phases where I watch it so much that I'm sick of it and I go back to it. So like Lord of the Rings, I think at one point I watched that almost every day for about a year solid, and it wasn't until my flatmate, I told her before I moved in with her, and she said, oh, it's fine, I'll be okay. And then like a couple of days later, well, about a couple of weeks later, she was like, yeah, you weren't kidding, you literally watched that every night. I'm like, yeah, like I told you. Or that, or Finding Nemo. Like, I don't know why I like those kind of movies. I think they balance maybe the darkness I'm writing.
I was going to say, it's probably because contradicts all the darkness. You need like happy, wonderful, light, Disney movies to balance out all the crazy darkness and the plotting.
Yeah,
so
I think that is it. Like my brain is so caught up in these dark books. I need that sort of not a detox of writing it, but it's like when I used to watch horror movies, afterwards I'd watch a funny movie because I'd be like, I can't go to bed with the light on. This is embarrassing, but I'm still kind of like that actually. I've got better, I've definitely got better with horrors. You know, I write horror, but watching it, it's a different story for me. I don't know. I've always been a bit weird like that. So yeah, I think really I'm quite a quiet person actually. I'm quite a quiet, solitary person, so I like being on my own. I like, having my movies and watching films and writing books and socialising online. I like socialising with my friends every so often, but I find it quite exhausting. So when I do go out shopping, I go home and I nap for like 19 hours. And I wake up and it's just like, wow, that 1 hour of shopping was fun. But I've just slept for the whole next day, and that really is what it's like. But yeah, I'm a bit sort of all over the place. I'm a bit of a scatterbrain. I think that's how my family would describe me. And I'm just constantly doing different things, or I'm constantly doing nothing, and it's just a bit weird. All over the place. That's how you describe me.
Nice. So for anybody who wants to get in touch with you or find you online, where should they look? I'm
quite active on Facebook, so feel free to obviously add me on my Katze Snow Facebook. I do have a website, which is just katzesnow.com, so completely feel free to contact me there. And there's like a newsletter where they can opt in to receive notifications of when I release books, and I'll include like free books and things like that. So yeah, and I also have Instagram, I have Pinterest, I have Twitter. I use them every so often, but Facebook is the predominant social media platform that I use.
And we'll make sure to link all that so people can find you.
Yeah, that's great. And I don't bite. I mean, it is. I come across as quite like a coy, shy person. And that's what's funny at my work, because when I told them what I wrote and they all started, looking into it, they were just so blown away, because they were like, we look at you and then we read your book. It's just like, and I have to sort of reaffirm that, guys, I'm not a psychopath, okay? I was like, my character is a psychopath. It doesn't mean I am. I write about werewolves. I'm not a werewolf, unfortunately. So people are always just like, you're just so innocent on the outside. And I'm like, oh, if only you knew. So yeah, quite funny.
All right. Well, I think that's all of the questions that we had. And we'll make sure to link all of your social media links and your website and stuff on the show notes so people can jump into it. And like we stated before, Sinister Hunger is going to be our bottom pick. So that's what we'll read for May. So we'll make sure to send you the link for our reader group too, so you can jump in and talk to the people who are reading it, and it'll be fun.
That'd be fantastic. I mean, the only warning I haven't really given out about Sinister Hunger, which it's been made very clear everywhere, is, guys, it has a cliffhanger, and I'm sorry, but I am working on book 2, and that will be out soon. And it's a cruel hangover. Hangover? God, cliffhanger.
So that's going to be what it feels like, I see.
Yeah, I was to say, maybe that's what you'll feel like, oh my God, I feel sick. Because I want to know what happens. Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, it does have a cliffhanger, but I hope you guys enjoy it, and yeah, just hold on to your, as we say here, hold on to your knickers.
Do you have a vague idea of when the next one comes out? Or do you want to say?
Actually, I do. So my next book is Conflicted, which is obviously the revamped version of Dark Silence. That's next month. And I'm really hoping that it'll be late July. So it may seem really long, but that's what I'm aiming for, because I'm releasing 2 more books before then. But
way sooner than we thought you were going to say.
I think in the past my readers have been so patient, and I feel guilty like making readers wait. But I don't want to rush it, because I know that book 2 is going to be a big book, and I'm definitely thinking over 100,000 words. So that for me is like a big book. So yeah, I'm hoping at least summer this year. I said summer, but it would be nice to have it out before my birthday, which is early August. So hopefully I can have it out before then.
Exciting.
That is exciting.
Good. I'm glad someone likes it.
Thank you again, Katze, for joining us. Like I said, I'll make sure to put all the links in our show notes so everybody can follow you, and hopefully we'll have you back on again, maybe when you get your another book done. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. So thank you for having me, and it's been lovely to talk to you.
So thank you again, Katze, for taking the time to talk to us. We had a blast hanging out with you for a little while. Again, our bottom pick for the month of May is Sinister Hunger. You should pick that up and join the fun.
And we'll, as usual, be doing a giveaway for that. So make sure you're subscribed to our website so we can have you entered to win that. We do want to make it clear, because this is a little darker than some of the books that we've read in the past. So just to keep everybody on the same page, I'm going to go ahead and read the trigger warnings that are listed at the beginning of the book so you can decide if it's something that you can enjoy or not. Trigger warning, please be aware this book contains graphic depictions of sex, extreme violence, child deaths, maternal and infant, non-consent, extreme gore, and extreme profanity. So that's just something to be prepared for. If it's not something that you can do, join us next month. For those of you still on for the ride, we will talk to you guys in the book groups.
Yes, for sure.
So I think that about wraps us up for our May top episode, and we will see you guys at the bottom.
Yeah. Till then.